All right, today we're going to jump into Bitcoin a little bit for you guys. I know the market is moving. And then, of course, we want to kind of look at an area around where AI is and how it might affect the metaverse. The reason that's important is because this does affect cloud computing and a lot of projects within the crypto space that apply into these markers. So we'll dive into all that good stuff today. I think you guys are going to love it. My name is Paul Barron. Welcome back into Tech Path. Before we get started, I want to thank our sponsor, and that is CoinLedger. If you guys are getting ready for your crypto or your taxes in general, crypto kind of presents a little bit of a challenge. So this is one of the tools that we use. CoinLedger wraps it all up in a nice bow by being able to integrate into a ton of platforms out there. I have not necessarily found a platform that they don't work with. So make sure and check out CoinLedger. It does make your taxes a lot easier. In fact, done in minutes. So use our link below for a little bit of a discount, and it does help the channel out. When we talk about AI and also metaverse and many of the projects that are rolling into crypto in general, I always want to bring in one of our resident experts, and that, of course, is none other than Sue Ennis over at Hut 8. Great to have you back on the show.
Hey guys, great to be here. Lots to chat about. Just got back from Davos, which was incredible. But yeah, this is a really timely conversation and excited to get into it.
We're going to dive into a little bit about Bitcoin, but here in the middle of the show, we'll go a little bit more into AI and what this might look like for cloud computing. Of course, Hut 8 doing a lot in the way of cloud tool sets, especially for Web3. So I want to dive into all of that. And I did notice that your CEO was interviewed by CoinDesk over there at Davos at WEF. So congrats to you guys. What did you guys think about that experience?
Yeah, so my CEO and I and our head of marketing, we all went to Davos this year. It was interesting in the sense that there wasn't a lot of crypto or Bitcoin representation. We were actually one of the only companies that were there from the space on top of Filecoin. And there was a couple of other companies who were also there. So we thought it was incredibly important to represent. We also partnered with the GBBC, the Global Bitcoin Blockchain Council. So they were doing some excellent events as well. But in terms of actual industry presence, it was pretty sparse. And, we felt that this, now more than ever, was incredibly important for us to be there advocating for Bitcoin, advocating for the builders in this space, because obviously a lot of FUD and, negative rhetoric has transpired and grown only stronger because of what happened with SBF and FTX. So it was a really great opportunity for us to get loud on behalf of the industry, which was great. But yeah, I was telling you earlier, as a head of state, I'm sure it's awesome, but as sort of a plebeian, I'd probably give it like a 2.5 to 3-star Yelp review. There's a lot of sort of schlepping between events, but again, they're also excellent talks we got to see. So.
Yeah, I think the key there with what's going on with WEF is, to your point, is just education and getting a framework around what's happening, not only in the crypto space, but in general, Web3 and technology innovation as a whole, because I think that's one of the things that is missing around our leaders and especially around our lawmakers, because this is one of the challenges, and you and I have talked about regulation quite a bit. When you think about all of that, and you look at kind of the global aspect of where Bitcoin mining is going because of the, kind of the moniker that it has upon it right now, to mostly people who are uneducated around the subject matter, and you look at the potential for where mining tool sets, and a lot of people now are looking at the potential of it offloading grid capacity. I was looking at this article here, America's first nuclear-powered Bitcoin mining center now opening in Pennsylvania. When you think about that, obviously Hut 8 is well advanced into all sorts of alternative energies. What are your thoughts on how we may see the next, decade in terms of Bitcoin mining? You guys are doing a lot of innovation. What are your thoughts on nuclear and other sorts of alternative energy?
So I think when we look at the next 5 to 10 years and sort of where miners play a role, I think we're going to see a meaningful uptick and disruption in terms of miners being able to solve for things like, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, for methane emissions. So, the top 3 causes of methane emissions are oil and gas, agriculture and animal husbandry, and landfills. And due to miners portable and scalable and also being incredibly incentivized by cheap energy, A lot of studies have come out, and actually New Hampshire just also publicly acknowledged that the data does show that miners could potentially be a solution in the fight against methane emissions related to landfills. I think is incredibly meaningful. Also, again, how we complement renewable grid operators. So over the next 5 to 10 years, I'm pretty excited to see sort of what happens to the industry, the partnerships that continue to proliferate with not only polluters, but also renewable grid operators, and then also, of course, regulators and legislators in terms of making sure that, regulation and partnerships are done in the spirit of innovation and the fact that, we actually can solve for some very real world climate problems here. We just need to all look at the data, and we're pretty excited about that.
Well, I think the key here is innovation, because you and I have gone down this path of what does that alternative energy layer look like in terms of where Bitcoin is going to be mined, how it's going to address ESG concerns, and kind of moving into this next layer, which I think, Sue, and you've stated this many times, is that we have to overcome that, just for the aspect, whether you're virtual signaling and you believe in that or not, the real factor is we're going to have a lot of lawmakers that are going to be looking to ESG as one of the cornerstones of where Bitcoin mining is going to be judged on. So I think the more we see innovation going in that direction, the better, for sure. Mm-hmm. Which is what you guys are doing. Yeah, for sure. Hey, let's get into, I want to talk about AI and metaverse. So you guys have already started some fairly significant alternatives around building diversified lanes of revenue for Hut 8. And within that, you look at things like rendering, the potential of what metaverse, and even tool sets for data engines down the road. Now we've got ChatGPT and all of this starting to evolve. Is there a potential for Hut 8 to start maybe even building outside what you're doing now and going into the AI layer around how that might affect crypto in the future?
I mean, it's entirely possible, because AI at the end of the day is just another iteration of compute, and that compute needs the infrastructure in order to run their permutations and run sort of all the fancy things that AI can do. And so being infrastructure providers and effectively arbitraging electrons is something that we consider ourselves to be in the business of, and that obviously touches on the AI space as well, and being able to support that from an infrastructure and electron perspective. I think what's really exciting about AI versus the metaverse is, metaverse as a feature is how I look at it, but AI is what the disruptor is. So, right. It's incredibly interesting to think about, playing video games in the metaverse. Instead of meeting over Zoom, we meet up in our virtual office, or maybe we go climb a mountain together again in the metaverse. But AI is the piece of technology that touches every single industry and is, capable of disrupting every single industry. So, from the perspective of using AI to audit smart contract vulnerabilities in the blockchain or crypto space, to amplify and make trading algorithms smarter, to even things like, from in the bio and the pharma space, what permutations have we not explored in this clinical trial, to the legal space, give me a legal argument for how to solve and prove this precedent, that AI really touches sort of everything. And so that is why I think it is a bit more meaningful than in terms of just focusing on the metaverse. I think sort of AI comes first, and then the metaverse is just a feature that's built on top of some of the amplifications that AI is bringing to computing.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch, because you've got a good race going on right now. I just showed a little bit about with Microsoft and OpenAI. Obviously, their attempt to make a bid for this. We'll talk a little bit about who owns that and how it's kind of connected. But you look at Google, their answer to ChatGPT also possibly debuting in May. So again, this is big business. There's going to be, I think there's clear indicators here that we're going to see a lot of cloud computing moving in this direction, which usually means that we're going to start to see Web3 projects moving also in this direction. So I'll anticipate that we'll see a lot more AI integrations into some Web3 solutions, whether that's gaming, design, all those kind of things, very, very near. And of course, even NVIDIA coming in here saying they're going to see a big win from ChatGPT and all the hype. Again, this is all required because it needs their devices, but the opportunity here could be pretty significant, especially if we see some more Web3 solutions come out. When you look at where OpenAI is right now, and just the kind of the growth that it's had in such a short time with ChatGPT, a lot of the AI art generators, things of that nature. How quickly do you think a Hut 8 could scale to something? If someone came to you like a render, or maybe an Arweave, that's on data, either one of those could start to flow into AI integrations in some way. That's going to need a lot of cloud power. How would Hut 8 possibly integrate into some of those types of situations?
Yeah, so one of the real benefits of our infrastructure is that we have a composable computing layer called Liquid, I believe it's called Liquid Infrastructure Stack. And the beauty of this particular stack in our warehouses and in our infrastructure is that you're able to pivot between different iterations of compute as a user of that compute in almost real time. So, as if you're a builder who is, again, building, let's say, a decentralized peer-to-peer offering, but then again, you want to use an AI application or build an AI application to audit your smart contracts for any vulnerability, you're able to do that and just flip between, because all of that takes different iterations of compute. So having a composable compute platform within an infrastructure provider like Hut 8, that's something that we can certainly provide, and that's an area that we're really excited to continue to focus on and grow in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years.
All right, so AI, if you give it a 1 to 10 for success ratio, and you look at these early stage technologies, so you've had a chance to see some of these do well, some of them not so well. Where would you give what's happening right now? I know there's been several iterations of GPT out already, but where would you put AI? I know it's very early, but like on a 1 to 10 for success, not necessarily in where it is right now in today. Like, hey, this is going to work, it's going to happen.
So obviously my legal team will want me to say this is not investment advice. This is just my opinion, not Hut 8's opinion. But I honestly, I see a tremendous amount of success. And again, that's based on the fact that it has such breadth and relevance to such a wide, vast array of industry. And so because of its sort of applicability and almost industry agnostic relevance, I think that we are going to see quite a bit of success with this AI. And I really urge people to go create an account on OpenAI, start playing around with ChatGPT. There's a lot of articles on LinkedIn about how to actually sort of ask ChatGPT different questions so that you get maybe a little bit more value or just understand a little bit more about sort of how deep and nuanced some of the information it's capable of generating.
Right.
So I strongly, I strongly urge your audience to play around with it because it is a lot of fun. And I think it'll be interesting to see, what the East versus the West and what different countries do and allow these AI bots to come up with. So for example, I was thinking of running a marathon in Tunisia in September because I think it's a beautiful country. I'd really like to go. But I asked ChatGPT, I said, hey, should I run a marathon in Tunisia? Should I go there? And they'll say, it responded, I cannot provide this information. And, if you ask it about vaccines, it's not going to provide you any opinion on vaccination. So it'll be really interesting to see sort of how countries, what they allow within their borders of these AI bots or these AI algorithms to generate and disseminate. So I think that's something that's going to be really interesting.
I just saw a clip from WEF come in today also that was, back to your point around, kind of the borderless aspect of what technology will be applied to some of these countries. And it was interesting because the EU was starting to put a little pressure on Elon, in reference to how he needs to comply with certain aspects of what Twitter now would need to do in many of these countries. So I could see this playing into where not only metaverse, but also some of the tool sets within AI themselves will kind of play into them. Let's jump over to metaverse for a second. And this was an article, and this is funny because I have a good story about this. Bill Gates dismisses the metaverse potential to achieve internet-style growth. And unfortunately, Bill Gates was also the same CEO that dismissed the internet as an opportunity.
Right.
I worked with him at that time. So I'm not worried about that one. But then again, it could be right now, because sometimes half right, half wrong kind of scenario. But if you look at the growth here, this was something on just where AI intelligence market size could grow all the way out to 2030. You can kind of see just kind of the evolution of what this might look like. again, I think it's very early on many of these things, and most of what we're seeing so far in terms of use case and how it would apply to crypto and some of the tool sets within it, I think are still very, very early. Microsoft also bans use of cloud services for crypto mining unless there's prior written approval. What do you make of this right here? There's a lot really getting around at data centers. You've got AI rolling in its metaverse activities, cloud computing for cloud services around crypto mining. Where do you think all this ends up on the backside?
Well, I think that that's where we see a tremendous opportunity in terms of our offering, because one of the reasons why we even got into this sort of offering these different iterations of compute and data infrastructure is because we knew that a lot of the traditional providers, number one, weren't comfortable with how hard mining machines actually worked their infrastructure, because that type of compute, works your machines a lot harder than, let's just say, someone, backing up or their customer information in the cloud. Number two, from a compliance perspective, I certainly think a lot of traditional compliance teams haven't been comfortable with the space. Obviously, what happened with SBF and FTX, even though that had nothing to do with the technology, that was a centralized platform issue, certainly has not helped the reputation of our industry, though, again, we are seeing an uptick in sentiment, which is fantastic. But I think that those are some of the factors that are driving some of these bigger providers to say, you know what, we've got enough customers in these verticals, we don't need to touch this one. But again, that's an opportunity for us, right? So we understand the space, we know how compliance works, that's certainly an opportunity for us.
Yeah, I think this is the thing of when you look at the evolution of Web 2 is there's going to be a lot of new Web 3 companies that really start to just look at the opportunities going forward in a different frame, a different light. And I think, much like a Hut 8 and others that are starting to think like that. We're doing that in media right now. And I even find myself, because I've been in media for 25 years, and the technology and tools that we've used, they've changed dramatically. And here recently in the last 3 years, we're talking about leveling up at a level that, even me, I'm surprised, and I'm someone that's very pro-tech. But I find that that's going to be an opportunity here in a lot of different industries for sure. This is a good point. This is a good point right here. 69% of users now betting metaverse entertainment will reshape social lifestyle data. This is a big area too because of the potential of IDs being decentralized, what we might see in the way of Web3 in terms of our own data sets and how we use those and manage those. What do you think when you look at data and you look at something like an Arweave, something of that nature in terms of how data will be stored in the future, especially around individuals? Does Hut 8 play into that, or are you guys going to continue to just kind of flow into the projects and some of the, kind of the heavy lifting around data storage?
Yeah, no, I think we more see ourselves as sort of the heavy lifting, sort of the racetrack that all the horses are racing on. That's really where we see our role in the future of all this technology and nascent tech. And again, really being, arbitragers of electrons for our customers. And that's sort of an idea that hopefully I'll be able to flesh out a little bit more on some of our future conversations.
Yeah, definitely.
I do think that just to talk about sort of why I somewhat do agree with Bill Gates on the metaverse piece of things. And I agree, he's been wrong about a lot of things, but one of the major barriers, I think, to adoption and scale of the metaverse is the actual on-ramps into the metaverse. For example, to actually get to the metaverse, you need your Oculus glasses, or you need that app that you can scan or attach a QR code to the real world object so that it can show up in your metaverse, or universe that you've created in the metaverse. So, and I think that what I'm not hearing a lot of, or what I'm not seeing a lot of scale in, is these on-ramps into the metaverse. And I think that may be one of the major barriers to adoption, which is maybe where Bill Gates is coming from. And I don't disagree with him on that part.
Well, okay, so this is the first time, Sue, that you and I are in disagreement on that. So that's okay, though.
Great, yeah. Into it.
We should. We're going to save that one for another video because I know this is a much deeper discussion about where the growth is going to come from, how that transition, and to your point, the on-ramps for that. I want to get into a couple of points here. This is the Metaverse Standards Forum right now. I look at this and I see, now a lot of these are new companies, but there's many that you will recognize: Adobe, Acer, A-Digital, ADX, Agora. Many of these are well-known companies within the space. And one thing that's happening right now, I know within our own consulting group here, when we work with a lot of Web 2 companies, they're trying to bridge that gap to Web 3. Now, most of it is very rudimentary right now, but the ideas behind what they're looking to do are very forward thinking. I mean, they're really throwing some stuff out there that even surprises me in terms of where the future of what this might look like. So I'm really excited about all of that. I want to jump to a couple of things here. This piece right here, again, this goes path to 800 billion, double-digit growth. This is just showing some of the big sectors. Here, if you look at the blue sector, which is gaming, AR, VR, hardware, etc., you'll notice that growth is really one of the faster growth areas. Live entertainment also growing. But I see a lot of this transitioning over into metaverse and the potentials there. Obviously, we've seen the Nike artifact thing kind of blow up. But I want to end on something that I think is really interesting, and that's this HUD 8 PR that you guys just put out. Enthusiast
Yes.
Gaming. Yeah. All right. So a multi-year strategic partnership here with EV.io. I got a chance to actually play this game in the browser. First of all, these guys, it surprised me how good it is. I was amazed. And the speed. So you guys have some great services there that are actually serving this one up. Tell me about this partnership.
Yeah, so this was, so we're very good friends with Adrian, the CEO of EGLX. And what we thought was really interesting about EGLX and doing something with them was obviously the fact that they are a gaming company doing really interesting things in the metaverse and really future forward thinkers and innovators. And then obviously we have the computing and the infrastructure that they need to sort of execute on some of their ideas. EGLX is owner of Luminosity Games. Luminosity has over 300 million players playing their games. And also there's a really interesting intersection in terms of who is playing their games, and then but also who is looking at our stock and who is interested in the crypto space. It's sort of similar demographics that are involved in both. So we really thought that it was an awesome sort of match made in heaven. And yeah, we're really excited about it.
So I'm actually playing here right now. So sorry, Sue. Did you say something?
Game, eh?
No, this is good. The fact that this was, well, first of all, kudos to you guys on our partnership, because I think this is a cool, this is where I think we're going to see more browser-based games, mobile-based gaming, a lot of those kind of tool sets. Obviously, this tied into Solana, and some very intricate aspects around what we will see in terms of gaming in general. I do think Metaverse is going to play into this in the future. So it's definitely, a lot of things are happening right now that are converging. AI, where Metaverse is going, how we'll be dealing with cloud computing in the future. You guys are in the right place at the right time, for sure.
Yeah, we're incredibly excited about it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so we're going to get over to a quick poll and we'll wrap up here. Let's see what the audience had to say a little bit about today. Which industry will see the most growth in the next 3 years? AI, 63%. Metaverse gaming. Interesting. Very interesting. So this kind of wins on your side, Sue, about where AI might take over.
Yeah, let's battle it out next time.
We're going to bring that one up on the next show for sure. I think you'll bring probably a lot more ammo than I will. We'll see. Anyway, it's great having you on the show today. Thanks so much for stopping in.
Thanks so much for having me. Bye, guys.
You bet. All right, guys, we're going to have a 3 o'clock today that you don't want to miss. It's going to be with Mark Yusko. We're going to be breaking down the potential of Bitcoin. Can it make its way up to 30K? So don't miss that one. There's a lot of signs that are pointing in that direction. I know we had a little bit of stumble over the weekend, but also some corrections. Sentiment has been holding somewhat as well. We'll talk a little bit about that on that live show at 3 o'clock. Don't miss that one for all you guys out there. A lot of new stuff coming too from us. You guys are going to get some big surprises very soon around the Diamond Circle. We're brewing up some pretty interesting things. So if you're not part of the Diamond Circle, get in now. It's going to be a very interesting ride for you guys here in 2023. Just use our link below. It'll help you guys sign up. And If you're not following me on Twitter, please do so. It's very simple. I usually will answer the DMs out there, but it's just at Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on TechPath.